There, hello, welcome. Welcome to another video here on the channel. I've been sent a few games here between Grenooli and John the Late. And this is on one of the newer maps, not sure which it is because they played random mixed here. But as you can see, there's a lot of trees on it, and there's a decent amount of water, and within that water there's a lot of fish. There's this little thorn skirt animal to watch out for. There's these reskinned DOPs, there's these tubas, these blue frogs here. I believe there's a few Philimpusets as well around the map here. And as I said, Grenooli sent the games. It's going to be him playing against John in these 1v1s here. So we've got Grenooli starting things off in the orange as the New Republic. John here playing the blue Zan Consortium. And with all those tree clusters, you can get some easy walls here on this map, I would say. And you can maybe do some fishing and stuff. But you've got to watch out with your tech times though, because we have air in this game, and the air can traverse the terrain pretty easily and just contradict those walls entirely. And not really much else to talk about, really. Really nice carbon, isn't it? It's got a lot of surface area there. I think this map does a very good job of, because I mean this is just tiny still. It looks really kind of big. It makes use of its space well. Because it's not too hilly. There's a few bits of elevation here and there, but it's quite clear where there's open space for you to build on, and then where your trees are, and it manages all that as well with all the water too. Because that's effectively like space you're losing on the map because you can't build on it really, other than your shipyards. But yeah, quite like the look of this map. Decent amount of ore too, some like extra patches of ore, and some nova as well. And then there'll be the holocrons that the players can grab up too if they make it that far, just to get those extra resources. The players are discussing how many nerfs there were. There were only 2 there, so that's pretty much they're just going to get eaten rather than using the animal nursery feature that we get in GBG where they can generate passive food income. And I'm not really seeing anyone do some like cute luring of the cubas. These chubbas. Maybe chubbas. They look a little bit erratic though. It's tricky to do on a fast game speed to lure these things. The scout moves so quickly as well. But they each do represent like 140 food, so good job on the food processor for it, which is pretty fair. Gonna need one anyway, and you'll get like 400 food out of those. Pretty predictable. See John go for the shipyard, tends to like doing things like that. I just wasn't sure that was built there. It looks a little bit shallow, that T1 shipyard for the Zan Consortium. Pretty cool looking though. Little gap in between for the boats to go through. Dock. We don't have power core yet for the shipyard. Of course, one of the big differences between this game and Age of Empires is the power feature, where things take forever without power. So that's interesting. Going to be a troop centre here for Grenooli, whereas a lot of the early carbon's been dropped in this shipyard for John. And can have a quick look, see if he's done any sort of scouting. He seems to be scouting the entire map but his opponent. He's saving it for last. He wants to savour the moment that he looks upon Grenooli's base in its entirety. We don't have a power core as of yet here for Grenooli. Grenooli may be dropping on some of these farms. You could be missing a window to maybe pump out a few troopers quickly and get on top of his opponent fast. Let's see the power core first here, and then the troop centre. So I imagine there's going to be a power droid sent down to the shipyard. He's managed to get a trawler out here just on the unpowered speed. So it's like an extra worker for him here. And Grenooli's not really following up his troop centre. He's put all that carbon into these farms now and kind of just walling off. I think he's maybe got a little bit of a warped perspective of where he and his opponent are in this game right now. Because it looks to me like he's thinking about just walling things off and playing passive now when he's kind of dropped his troop centre so early. And then he's gone onto Nova now as well, so it's kind of like a defensive play into maybe just trying to get T3 ahead of his opponent. Jan, on the other hand, is going to be making some mounties here because he built a nursery. Did he house his nurse? I suppose there was a bit of food, but can't fault it too much if you do make use of it by making the Mounties, though. You're going to have to go a very long way, though, because of the way that those trees have spawned on the map, and not too many buildings invested, is to go all the way around the outskirts, it looks. There's a better path on the left-hand side, though, but it's still pretty slow. One or two Mounties isn't going to really trouble things, especially this far along into the game. He's already got his buildings up, you know. Pretty much click the button quite soon. You can maybe use the spaceport to get there a bit quicker. But John shouldn't fall too far behind in his economy here because he's got the shipyard now, so he should effectively pull ahead with the little disruption he's doing with these Mounties. He just needs to play for not suffering too much to tech level 3 when Grenooli gets there ahead of him. There's a bit of a mismanagement of the economy here, I think, when he's sitting on 600 carbon and not too much food, because his objective at this point should really be getting himself up to T3 as well. A few workers going down. These workers should be able to repair each other. Grenooli may be missing an opportunity with that there. It does have to drop a turret. Halfway to T3 though, that should be the saving grace here. Being able to get those high tech units like the strike mech and the fighter out. A couple more Mounties coming. Kind of annoying. Really did put the turret in a kind of a bad place. It would have been better to probably put it about here, so that the command centre can guarantee it, because now the Mounties, especially the ones that are low health, that don't want to be running around in range of the turret or the command centre, can just kind of commit to trying to kill off the turret here. So it's feeling like a little bit of a waste of an ore. And he's not really reclaimed his carbon during this time either. What he might have been better to do is just get another carbon spot here. Especially with that turret that he would have been built, he's built here. Or he could like half minus carbon and then have someone here. Because there's not too many straggler trees to go on. But he has made it to T3, but we don't have a power core as of yet. And he's got quite a lot of food. A little bit of Nova, and I think he should be making use more of the spaceport just to buy some carbon. And he seems to have gotten frustrated with himself there. He said, oh, I'm so bad at the game, and he's just going to hand John the win there. So that Mountie pressure, despite the long... Oh, I think there's a little path here, so it's not quite as long as we thought it would be. But that's really gone on top of him there, and forced a few mistakes, and he's GG'd out there. So go into the next game that he sent me here. A big river and then a nice sea here. This looks a lot better than a multiplayer one I think I saw of this, where there's a sea on one team's side and then the river in between them and then no sea on the other team's side. And if you look at the sea, there's a lot of stuff in it, so they're kind of imbalanced in the team game, but it looks pretty good in a 1v1. You've got a lot of like options to play for. So you've got the one crossing to sort of fight over here. I normally don't like it when there's one crossing, but if they're a little bit longer, which this is, it makes it a bit better. Don't want it to be just like such an easy wall, you know. I would maybe prefer on maps that there were like two crossings though, just to, you know, make it like players just wall and then they play for like T3 air all the time, because it's a bit boring. But I do really like this map with everything that's in the water here. All these fish, there's quite a lot of beasts out there as well, but then you've got these carbon gas vents as well. So you could effectively do kind of a big shipyard boom really. Maybe make a bit more shipyards than we would normally make, because you can distribute them in between, you know, carbon and food. Looking at the civs here, we've got Confederacy here for John the Late in the purple, and we got Galactic Empire. Not Confederacy, Geonosians. What am I saying? Galactic Empire here in the red for Grenooli. So I was about to say almost two classic vanilla civs here, but the Geonosians and the Confederacy, they parted ways and expanding fronts. Gotten divorced here, and they've each got their own sort of tech lines. There's a couple of dewbacks here for a good amount of food, just to get things going. I can see Grenooli going to be luring over his dewback here, and I wonder who's going to get the wall down first on the shallows. Because if you can get the control of the full shallows yourself, you do have the option to sort of rush your opponent and make things a little bit fearful for them. because you could just delete the wall. Bit of player chat there. Saying greetings from Darga Ribdus. So everyone, greetings from Darga Ribdus. It looks like there's Animal Nursery, a nice amount of nerfs here, 10 nerfs as well, stuck by us. And I like the berries as well, quite a varied amount of food. What's looking super underrated here is the shorefish levels. Oh, these Eopies with shorefish, nice. But the shorefish are looking pretty good and consistent here for players to get on. Definitely worth doing maybe some rotating food processors with a few workers, because it's quite a fast way to get food, and it's probably better than the berries, really. Definitely a lot quicker. Do get a lot of berries here though. Can't commit a lot of workers to it. But yes, this is going to look like a nice food processor here. Like, look at these. 5 shorefish. And just like a nice triangle. I can't make a triangle with a selector, it just only makes cubes and squares, rectangles. A cube's 3D, right? A bit of scout on scout action here between Grenooli and John. John chasing Grenooli down, but what's happened here is that John's scout is locked in his own side of the map here, and Grenooli has absolutely gotten control of the shallow crossing. And with all this extra food and stuff, maybe you can do some sort of T2 aggression. I'm not seeing buildings, and I am seeing the Nova processor again, and it's already driving me insane. I might have to switch player, because the blooming alerts every time you get shot at by the scout. See, maybe a little bit of anxiety ticking in here for John here as he's like double layering up this wall, because you can't get the prefabs across it because of the way that the shallows and the land interact. You can't like build like a prefab over that. You can only use the light walls. Maybe triple layering it here. So it's going to be a really quick T3 here for Grenooli, I think. Spaceport, Mag Factory, probably going to be air here. They can just fly across. And if you can do it quick enough, you could really get on top of John. John's going to have a bad time here, because where he's made his shipyard is a straight rally into these OPC killers and this Colo Clawfish. I see those shorefish kicking in, but they're going to make a shipyard too here for Grenooli. And doesn't have his power core as of yet though. But that'll be a nice little differential here for him, just getting some extra workers. And we've not even got the buildings. Like, Grenooli is about 70% of the way to tech level 3, and John's just got his 2 buildings now and just started his journey to T3. It's going to be a bit of a window here for Grenooli to do some good damage if he can get on top of John here with the fighters. John not really on ore, just got a few workers on Nova. So might struggle. He's probably going to have to rely on anti-air turrets and lose a few workers to get them down. Grenooli, however, can't quite afford his double airbase. Again, a lot of food. Personally, I think you should maybe just sell a little bit of food here, buy some carbon to get your 2 air bases quickly. Because again, missing a little bit of a window here. There could be 2 fighters coming out and both be at 70% right now, to really take advantage of this window to get some damage done. And John maybe having a little bit of anxiety about air coming across. He's dropped his troop center, just so he can pop out some anti-air troopers, I would assume. And Padawan here, going to see that fighter just a little bit ahead of time, get a little bit more time to react here. It's only 1 fighter though, so when there's 2 anti-air troopers out here, he's getting a free shot here, he's going to get a second free shot. He's going to kill it for free there, no casualties inflicted. And Groom's going to have to do a little bit of a better job getting his fighters all together here. So I think about now, if it was double air base from the get-go. We could have about 4 fighters here now. Which is going to be, it's like a 1-to-1 ratio with the anti-air troopers. Unfortunately, anti-air troopers are not like the most durable, so they would probably lose that trade quite quickly. They're very easy to out-micro. So I'm going to be grabbing off these holocrons. And what Grenooli sort of resigned himself to doing right now is just stacking all his air up, and then he'll move it down in one big control group. He has lost 2 of the fighters, or pretty much free so far. And John, being T3 now, has got an anti-air turret here over this area. That's sort of main carbon. And a command centre on the way. Grenooli never really did anything with the shipyard, he just sort of made it for nothing. Just sort of sitting there. He's going to be dropping another command centre himself and sending those fighters off across now. Now this area doesn't have any anti-air. These heavy anti-air troopers patrolling around, it looks like fluffy rabbits possessed John here for a second. And these guys are going to sneak over at this exposed nova. There's a turret down here where they could maybe retreat to, but I think they're probably both going to die given the size of the fighters here. And forces a garrison, these 3 fight. They should probably just kill these anti-air troopers. A bit of a menace. Take a long time to get back up to that amount as well, just being 1 troop in. But really just flying around here. I would prefer always in a 1v1, because there's not actually too much lag in a 1v1, so fighter micro is pretty responsive to just have your own fighters to deal with them. Because as we always say, turrets are not counter, just a deterrent. And if you can just continue making workers yourself at home and just run round your opponent's base, force them to garrison and stuff and picking off what you can get quite ahead. Even if you're not paying like maximum attention back home. Just because of how obstructive it is to have to garrison, re-garrison, build units, build extra turrets in places, etc. Always better to probably have your own standing air force, really, in a 1v1. Team games is a little bit different because there's more factors at play. More reasons for someone not to just hang around your base the entire game. Because of all the external parties involved. So, complete passivity out of John here. And that good little bit of offense here from Grenooli. But it looks like he's working on things at home here. John's got like a frigate out here exploring. He wants to kill off this Colo clawfish with it. But both players look like they're kind of just going to like work her up now, you know, boom a little bit. The dirt farms have begun for the geos. And this dewback has sort of just revealed himself here to John, like, what's up? Walking around this cluster. You miss me? It's 340 food he could have had. Sneaky boy. And yeah, what do I even talk about here? They're just all making workers. There's some mechs building up here for Grenooli. He's only got the attack upgrade though. Well, the attack range. Research center here. Doesn't look like he's really got the food to be T4ing though, so I'm not too sure what the early research center is for. What upgrade he's looking for. Could maybe build a transport, drop these across. I don't think there's not even a mech factory actually for John here. He's really, really passive. So a strike mech drop could be really good. Oh, he's got the transport ship. It's a very hipster thing here. And we'll just do the obligatory check. Yes, he does need to use the transport ship. We'll call that the Grenooli rule. And across he goes. So actually 10 strike mechs is going to be a lot for someone that doesn't have a mech factory.
Yes, Commander.
And second range upgrades here now as well, so they've got +3 damage. They start at 4 here, so they've almost doubled their damage. So they should do pretty well against these undefended workers. Gets his revenge on that scout that terrorised him. See, John here was going to be dropping double heavy weapons factories. He's having to drop 2 mech factories right now with the power core. These fighters killing off the sentry post while these strike mechs are just culling the workers, gunning them down in the streets here of the Geonosians. The dirt farmers washed with geo blood. He's even going to kill the Jewback that had only just revealed himself to the world. Brutal. So we should expect some mech destroyers jumping out of the mech factories here. 3 mech factories going to be pumping these out. And quite a bit of damage and disruption's been caused so far. And because there's not many upgrades, he's now got one of the attack upgrades as well. They're actually doing quite well just killing off these. But with 3 coming out at a time, that window slams shut pretty quickly, so he's going to have to run away now. But it's been a good bit of disruption here. It'd be great if he finds these workers too. So 6 of them here. You can maybe see that through the fog of war. The mech destroyers trying to catch up here. These workers dying. And really he's not even paying attention to this, they're just doing that on their own. He's now microing here, going to kill them all off. Probably best to actually just retreat with his transport ship. Because there's so many mech destroyers that he's forced now, they could spread out pretty well. And he maybe should keep these at home. Gonna need to maybe make a bit of a follow-up to this though. Really not really spending his money well at home with 3,000 carbon right now. He needs to get some military infrastructure down, maybe in this nice open spot here. What would have been a good play here was to maybe save those strike mechs with the transport ship and use them to guarantee some artillery. Galactic Empire are always just been so versatile and really strong at all levels, so they even do get heavy artillery too. And I think this would have been a good spot for like a heavy artillery play for the Empire here. Because they will trade well and they kind of outscale the mech destroyers for quite a bit. A little bit of a fortress here, he's managed to drop these workers with that transport ship. John has quite a big water presence, but looks like he spent a lot of that time killing off the beasts here. Does have a destroyer which has just managed to miss this transport. And shield generator here too. It's going to be quite annoying here in the back of John's base. I do see some heavy weapons factory, so we might actually get to see those heavy artillery. Doesn't take a lot to get them going, you just need the heavy artillery upgrade basically, and they do quite a lot, and you can get that +1 range for them as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do get the HP upgrade. Get the first one here as well. So I just need to get that, and I'm good to go really. Do some decent damage. And having the strike mechs alive is just to make sure that they're safe from any sort of Mountie tech switch, because Mounties do decimate artillery. And all heavy weapons basically. So both players going to hit T4 at a very similar time, despite all the shenanigans. John does have the better standing army right now, but what he doesn't have is same side presence in Grenooli's base here, like Grenooli has at the back of his. Grenooli can make artillery and some mechs here at the wall. But what you can do here with this power core and these mech factories is maybe just flood strike mechs into the economy. And John is actually kind of taking the bait here, I suppose, and sending his units. Always going to keep some of them at the front, that's smart. Well, maybe not. We're going to take them all to deal with this. Because what Grenooli could manage to do here is get a push at the crossing and then take full control of the crossing while John's dealing with this at home at the back of his base. A lot of extra resources here can be grabbed up. It's one of the legacy strike mechs, I imagine. being annoying there and forcing a bit of a garrison. I think Grenooli's maybe been spending all his money on upgrades, just not seeing a lot of units out of them yet. And John is going to try and get on top of this army before he gets going. Do have a heavy mech destroyer for both players, a little bit more upgrades here for Grenooli, but a lot more units here for John. And he could probably just sort of spawn kill these. There's a good amount of mech destroyers too, that if you tried to maybe just make some cheeky assault mechs here, I'd kill them off. Best thing that could be made in this instance would probably be an air cruiser. Push this army away. And make him get some anti-air to come across and deal with it. And he's going to start building the units here at the crossing now, and maybe just resign this area to John. And maybe just try and make it a little bit, well, as difficult as possible to deal with. I think the air cruiser would be nice though. You could just sit it here. And the best way to deal with it probably would be getting like some anti-air boats. It's kind of hard to get round into the fortress with the way that the trees are. Destroyer being a little bit annoying here. Grenooli almost got all his upgrades here. Here's the Galactic Empires, they're pretty much like, you know, top tier mechs really. Zan's a pretty good mech civ as well. They do get that like extra 2 damage, but the Empire's just so versatile. They've got so many other things going for them, like, you know, making Sith Masters as well. Decent-ish troopers, decent artillery. And they got these nice dark troopers too. Why am I calling it the Zan? It isn't the Zan, it's the Geonosians. So they're not actually a mech. It's this blooming model that's distracted me. I don't know why I'm going on about Zan. Zan in the last game, I think. It kind of looks like the blooming Scorpion tank from Halo. Pretty cool. Oh, they do get full HP upgrades now. Alright. What don't they get? They seem a lot stronger than I remember them being. Where's their war center? No, they don't get the armor. I would have thought they'd taken something away from them. So, Empire are definitely going to be the better mechs here, with the extra armor. Not by much though. Full HP is pretty good. Oh, the Acklys. I am #1 Ackley salesman. I love the Acklys. Great meat shield. Dark Troopers would be quite good here, I think. Kill the Acklys off quicker. They're trying to take down the buildings here with a cannon, but Nextra is going to clear that up quite quickly. And, you know, this is proving very troublesome here for John. Really trying to get another shield generator. The Ackley's running in to do a bit of frontlining here. There's not really much that does much damage to them at all. They're super annoying. Spamming that horrible roar they do. And soaking up a lot of damage here. Grenooli's still not revealed his grand plan yet to John here at the crossing. John here was 7,000 carbon, but like no food. You're going to be making Acklys, you're going to need a lot of farms. Grenooli on the other hand, a lot of Nova, a lot of carbon, can pump out so many artillery. And I think this is all going to go down very slowly here. And Grenooli is going to start attacking here at the front. Going to drop a fortress too. Could have maybe saved this and try to get this down on John's side. If he grabbed these units and went forward. This mech destroyer's shield is regenning, but its HP is going down nonetheless. John explaining the rules, being one of the EF devs, has that knowledge, saying that there's a minimum 1 damage always goes through on shielded units. So the wall is down, it's just up to Grenooli to delete his part of it if he wants to move his units through. Grenooli not quite gotten that last upgrade for the HP for the Galactic Empire Knight Destroyers. Still sitting at 225 health here. Real leisurely pace here he's taken. It's almost like he's given John time to clean this up, walk all the way back, have epic showdown at the crossing. John taking full advantage of that generosity right now because he's got not really anything in preparation if Grenooli does decide to walk across with his main force here, and there's a lot of units. Again, we talked about maybe could have held off on this shield generator, this fortress, and got this down here if he'd gotten his units here. And then he would have given his position some permanence on John's side. He must have just forgotten this last upgrade because he's definitely got the money to afford it. Got a pretty stacked economy here. Tons of Nova, good food and carbon. He's even got quite a lot of ore still. It's hollow, sort of walled out by the tree cluster. We did see John grab the holocrons on his side, but we've really not done the same. Would be a good shout for him to do something to do like a checklist there in the late game. Grab the holos, get that bit of Nova. And again, what's going on? Need to get across here. John's getting a lot of time to get his units together. And you know, if he brings both forces together, he does kind of have more than Grenooli, and he has that HP upgrade in place as well. And he does have access to the Acklays too, which can be very annoying against this force. Because I'm not really seeing any strike mechs here, I'm not seeing any dark troopers. You need like anti-trooper stuff to deal with those Acklays efficiently, otherwise they're going to cause you a lot of problems. And I think what John's army will need as well as the Acklays is some grenadiers. I'm going to make some reeks here, clean this up like mini pummels. And a few shipyards, maybe going to make some cruisers to kill off some static defense. But I'm not too sure what Grenooli's up to, if he's playing off the score or something and feels he just needs to defend. But either way, I'd say from what we've seen of him in the rest of this game, it just seems a little bit uncharacteristically passive. Maybe now he just seems like he's going to move across, but John has gotten his full force together and he's gone into that sort of this sweet spot area, because this would have been exactly where I would move my army to had I walked across these shallows, because you've got a nice amount of area to stand your units in, build shield generators, and you know, sit on this side, and then the trees sort of cover your flank too, and the water the other flank. So they are going to collide here. Shield covers sort of half the army here. John getting a little bit messed up by his own SimCity with his heavy weapons factory. He'd honestly probably be best to just delete this one. Because you see how these units are running back and forth, getting mucked up by it. And Grenooli's getting a slightly... He does have that last HP upgrade now as well. I think Grenooli getting a bit of a favourable trade there at the moment. John trying to get this shield generator. There's a lot of artillery though that could just surge forward and kill this while this army... Again, it's this heavy weapons factory is on Grenooli's side. Just horrible trade here for the army. And for every unit that John's lost right now, it's being replaced but on Grenooli's side. You see all these mech destroyers running in here. Grenooli completely popped. John actually 100 population down right now. He's tried to throw some reeks in here, but they're frontlining for nothing because so many units have died. This is where you probably want to reassess things, pull the units back, and have an air cruiser or something to stall things out. Because Grenooli's just marching forward here. Not too sure what the bounty hunters are for. If you just wanted an extra unit, you should have just made the Dark Troopers, because they would help out against these Acklays running in. Not sure the Geonosians are famed for their Jedi. And Acklays just running to their death, but they're nothing backing them up. No Grenadiers, no nothing. Some assault mechs coming in, which are going to be super powerful with so many units with tons of HP to frontline for them. And they can just focus on delivering all that crazy bonus damage they do to everything. A couple of Geonosian warriors are not going to be enough to take this down here. Cannon getting into position as well. And it looks like Grenooli the bully is back. Spawn killing the Geonosian tanks. And it could be a little bit more ambitious, move the units up, get these cannons sieging down the buildings here. Looking behind the front lines, not really too much going on here for John, a few bounties out. Some Geos were running around, maybe try to kill off some workers, but being down 100 population and pretty much just army is it's a bad time. Not an enviable look. And with things broken there, some mech destroyers running into the economy now, and John doesn't have much space for military infrastructure. It's very split up. He's got a few mech destroyers over here from those mech factories. Got a bit of a tech switch in the mounties here. And the Geos do get very good mounties. Again, we've got these strike mechs, we've got so many MDs, we've got full shields on the units. There needs to be something behind these mounties for them to ever be effective in this capacity. The hollows have been knocked out of the temple. And Grenooli's just marching forward, building shield generator after shield generator. Just to double the HP of all those units. And it looks like the forces on the right hand side being killed off by some of the remnants of the Grenooli army here, as the main force still marching forward. Killing off as much as possible. I don't think there's any way out of this for John here. Just doesn't have the room. He's certainly got a lot of resources he's just not spent. 12,000 carbon, 5,000 nova. Maybe even not sure what to get. But I think it's just all snowballed from that, bad positioning around that heavy weapons factory and losing so much of his forces so quickly, and not having the military infrastructure just to sort of remax behind it. Whereas Grenooli not been too frugal, he's just pumped out as many units as he can here. And now, because he's not really been losing anything for a long time, he's got a huge bank of resources as well. And he could be grabbing these holocrons away. Using his forward workers that have been building shield generators. Just make a temple there, and just grab them up. You can make a couple of masters. And they can do some work for the Empire to convert some units and stuff. Well, I'm not too sure where we're going for this though. John on track to be defeated. 3 Geos flying around. The resistance forces. Trying to get some military infrastructure down here. A few mounties and grenadiers here clean things up. So he does have about 6 active mech destroyers, mech factories down here. He's still got a bit of an income with all these trawlers. He's done a bit of a boat boom. But he's going to need a lot of army to take this down. Not an army to mess around with, the Empire ground forces. And still the shield generators flow. Almost making a beeline to the edge of the map. It looks like he's playing chess and he's got a pawn and he's trying to get it to the other side to turn it into a queen. The way he's kind of just going in a straight line here. This guy's covering the flank from the guerrilla force. And there it is, the GG. He's packed it in here. So good play there from Grenooli taking that game. So they're 1 for 1 here on the last game that was sent. Similar looking map with a river down the middle. 2 crossings though, quite wide as well, so this is a lot harder for you to just wall it off. Which gives you a lot more options in what you want to do. Some big tree clusters on this one though, and wow! That's a bad time. And that's a fair jog, it's a marathon to get your dewbacks, yeah? Is it the same for the other player? Absolutely not. You've got to have the complete polarization in these moments. Easiest dewbacks, hardest dewbacks. Brilliant. Well, he gets 1 though. Consolation dewback. God, that's enough to trick you into thinking there's only 1 dewback right there. Yeah, maybe need to look at the tree cluster spawning on this map. See how often something like this happens, and hopefully it's just a rarity. You can see it's maybe like just joined these 2 up. I'm not really seeing many that are like this on the map. It's quite thick rather than elongated like this. Assuming it's like maybe like 2 or 3 big ones joined together, and maybe the like command centers displaced it or something. So we have John playing the Trade Federation, got those little pit droid workers that throw me off there. And their workers went to the Confederacy. Ones they have in vanilla. And good old classic Rebel Alliance here for Grenooli. Now the question is, has John received the bad news yet? No, not at all. These tree clusters look a little bit tilted to scout around, they're quite long. Very difficult. Need to get the scouter right up the back here. And he might see. And since they've been able to open nursery, this looks like a pretty good map for going for Mounties, because of the long crossings to wall. Get a good amount of map control, stall things out there, and then you've got a myriad of options to do off of the back of that. And the bad news about to be revealed, 2 John here and 2 dewbacks on the other side of hell. The longest forest, 3 dewbacks. Oof. Can't be pleased with that one. That's a prompt response for a food processor right there. The workers are going to run all the way around. It's maybe got to be a food processor into some cheekily hidden farms maybe, or you could go for the second carbon processor. You could put it on this side and try and wall your, well, not wall, try and mine your way through this carbon wall quicker. This will look quite nice later with these like safe areas to drop some command centers, but for now it's a bad time. Then you got the contrast of Grenooli here with his easiest dewbacks ever. Those R2-D2s spinning the top part of their head happily, extracting all that sweet, sweet dewback meat. These workers up there. So John going to get ahead here. I'm going to do a bit of a light wall quickly. Trying to wall Grenooli scout out here, maybe double it up here. Can't really do anything else actually because he's Trade Federation. Can't do any prefabs. But these things practically explode when Mounties look at them, so Mounties is always an option. I do see a troop center going down here for Grenooli. Where is John's scout? He's not got it on the other side yet. Still ring around. I don't know if he's like suspiciously looking for more hidden dewbacks here on the map. He probably wants to be scouting his opponent and keeping an eye on what he's doing. Because you might actually resign yourself to thinking that this is, this is completely walled and safe now. If it being double layer light wall, but a couple of mounties will change your opinion on that matter very, very quickly. And going into the shipyard as well. So John's going to be kind of behind his opponent in the grand scheme of things here. But if he gets away with it, it's going to be a big, big return, because look at all the fish that are in this river. Tons and tons of food here for him. So John about 250 food, still T1. Grenooli on the other hand, almost T2, 250 food. With a mountie built as well, which is going to go over this wall. And that's going to start quickly going down here. And that's just one mountie. It's almost killed that wall on its own. Grenooli on the other hand, not actually building anymore. Again, I think he's not really paying too much of attention with his scout here and just giving John a little bit more credit than he's due. Because he's just kind of made one mountie and now he's like playing defensive, making a little bit of a wall in his base. But he's not quite rushing ahead to T3, he's not quite rushing. Seems a little bit indecisive. And I think with no extra mounties coming in here, John's getting away with it, absolutely. Because we could be up to about 3 or 4 mounties right now running in and, pretty undefended. Has managed to get a troop centre here. A few troop centres. It's probably wrong to say that we have 3 or 4 mounties here, because if there was 2 mounties there, they'd be through the wall much quicker. So probably 3 to 4 mounties in the carbon line right now, as the 3 troops get together. And then it's a battle for them not to be spawn killed. Seems to be sending his troops all the way over to the wall, like sort of counter-attacking here. I'm not really sure what Grenooli's up to with Zico. Not quite too many farms. But making any more troops. He gets counter-attacked and he's not got anything to defend with it, that would be bad. Scout joined up here with one of the mounties. Gonna kill off this trooper recruit. Harass the workers here on the Nova. John is going to be getting those extra workers though from this shipyard, where he's finally got a power droid out now as well. Made 2 there unpowered. And yeah, I feel like Grenooli should just have a lot more. He's like rebels, he's got rebel farm bonus. I just feel like he should be flourishing here at home. There's just a lot of carbon not being used. He's already got a spaceport built and he's still got 300 carbon. Looks like he's walling off. He's sort of... He's done that. He could just delete the wall if he wants to through it. It's just been a bit too passive. Making a turret. John's still sitting here shooting his prefab shelter with trooper recruits. He just hit T2 now. I don't think we need a turret. Double turret! You're way too scared, Grenooli. You might be Grenooli the bully, not Grenooli the bullied. You probably get to T3 before these troopers even bother you. Because you've even done the extra walling here, and look at the... Can you even get in? To go all the way around this way? There must be a gap somewhere here that I can't see. Maybe between them. Oh, and some workers over here. They've been caught. That's a bad time. But again, they will run the troopers away. So there's no gap, is it here? You don't need to do all this extra work. You're almost T3. Just deleting carbon. Oh, can you win the fight with the Tuscan? If you could get up to shenanigans on the other side. Yeah, looks like he's going to die to this Tuscan. So no way in for the troops, it seems, other than here. It's just surprisingly open for how timid Grenooli's been on this side. T3 now. Can drop double airbase. Needed to maybe mine this tree to get both of them down on that area of the power core. or delete this prefab and build one here. Can't quite afford a second one. Could I use a spaceport again? Or not blowing all the carbon. And fire going to be popping out here. Strike mech out as well. John did close up the wall here, so if the strike mech wants to go on the other side, he's going to have to go all the way around. I'm going to clean up all these troopers within the base. Back at home, we'll see if John's on his way to T3. He is 70% of the way there, and you can see how these boats have really built up from this one shipyard. A lot of extra workers here just bringing home food. The fighter going to get onto the Nova now and be really annoying. John does have some anti-air troopers built up already, and he's almost mined his way through to his other workers here. This could be a tricky defence right now if there was a few fighters out built up together, because the anti-air troopers couldn't get across. I wonder if we maybe see that taken advantage of, but really might lose this one. He doesn't move it away. And if he catches these workers, these guys are going to have a hard time defending them. Needs to move a bit further up though, they could shoot from here. Really again, building up fighters, you could be rallying them across and you could be hitting this ore at the same time. There's quite a lot of points of interest right now while John doesn't have like anti-air turrets and stuff. It's difficult for him to defend. He's actually sent these workers all the way around, or workers, all these anti-air troopers all the way around and built a turret here. So he could have had his rally fighters here, he could have had his fighter being annoying up here, he's got a strike mech hitting the boats here. And then again, could be hitting these farm workers in the Nova once more as well, since these anti-air troopers made the decision to come across over here. Hard to defend that base without your own air, or maybe like AIM-mobiles, or tons of turrets. And the strike mech still peppering these trawlers slowly. Pretty damn accurate. I think they're still looking for an angle. Very well protected at the top. Oh no. I think they're gonna go down there. John really loves fishing. He's lost this one. Maybe move his power droid all the way down. He starts up a new shipyard and trawlers. And Grenooli at home, he's chilling. He's got a second command centre. Maybe he's get another command centre. Probably feeling the effects of the 250 ore that he threw away on these turrets that were never used. And quite frankly, at this pace and how passive John's been in these like split map games, they might never be used. I think the big thing here is, oh, he did survive. He took down the Tuscat, 3 HP. Now he's being annoying. Building a turret here in the ore. Question is, can he wall it? If he can wall it, it's annoying. But if not, the workers can just bash it down. Should be using this opportunity right now to try and wall around it, so the workers can't get it. What Grenooli will have going for him being rebels in a map like this where it's so easy to split it and defend himself is going for the T4 air. And running around and killing off workers and trying to keep John pinned in his base. He does manage to wall it here. So pretty annoying. Could have garrison there as well. I don't have to get an extra beam or not, but maybe not off of one worker. That's annoying. I'm going to stop mining this ore for a while. The other ore is all the way over here. It's actually walled out a bit. That tree cluster. So maybe slow down John's plans to expand his economy a little bit, not having that ore access. And it's given Grenooli a good amount of scouting as well, so he can feel a little bit better about moving his fighters up here. And it's very quick to outmaneuver the anti-air troopers here for John because of the way the buildings are layered and how slow and dirty the things are. Very similar to that other game. It was split map, the last one. Trying grabbing up some holocrons. I was just having a wee bit of a think about things there. Mesmerised by the fighters running around. The holocrons being grabbed by the oblivious Padawan. Or Sith Apprentice, rather. Oblivious to the terror that the X-Wings are causing. Killing off some mech destroyers here. At home, a lot of farms down here and a lot of food being gained with that rebel farm bonus here. Really just getting some few extra workers on a Nova now. And maybe thinking about going to D4. See the research centre being dropped for that building rule. Some shield batteries being dropped now as well. Yeah, they're getting a bit better. They've got a lot of range now. 10 range. This is still going. World's most annoying turret. We're slowly bashing it down here. Very disruptive. Grenooli, on the other hand, on its way to T4 now, a third of the way there. Maybe use the spaceport a little bit. It's going to go up to 4 air bases here as well. Pump out a lot of fighters. I wonder if we maybe follow up the bombers. Bombers would be great here. Alternatively, if you don't want to do the bombers, you can go Mounties as a follow-up. You need something that's like the same sort of resource allocation like food and Nova, which doesn't require too many upgrades, and the Mounties just, you know, you just need a couple. They're pretty good going. You can mass them up and just overwhelm whatever your opponent has. Because chances are they have to cut a lot of corners to defend all the air. Settle more for like anti-air turrets and things. Anti-air mobiles, things that can die quite quickly to Mounties. But bombers could be good too. If you can get enough of them, get the upgrades out. Grenooli hitting T4 now. Should invoke a bit of anxiety here in John. I think it would be quite devastating in this quadrant of the base here. There's not too much anti-air. So a few troopers and some batteries, and the batteries are going to do absolutely nothing to these shielded fighters, I think. Shield, armoured plate work. Flight school, fast fighter. Grenooli's getting the lot, every upgrade. Let me send these guys over, maybe grab up this Nova here. Oh, fortress here. Speed up a little bit passive here. The fighter's going to come across. Alright. Where's shields at? 90%. And the fighter's just angling, waiting for the shields to kick in there. I believe the battery did manage to blow one of them up, and there's another shield there. And it's going to cause a lot of disruption here to John's eco. Well, that's annoying that they sit and they shoot this. That's the best thing that these actually do. Surprised they buff these things. I don't remember them being this good. That's really annoying though if your air just sits and shoots at it. You need to be a bit more active actually. In fact, there's quite a lot of them. He's built tons of them actually. Like a spider web with batteries. Really having to pull his air back. Even I'm a little bit shook by how effective those were. Maybe they're a little bit too strong now. There's a lot of them though. So what will be the follow-up? Jedi to... Oh. I know John's not a fan of being Jedi'd. This is a player-specific play here, I would say. Know thy opponent's weakness, the Jedi. So the Jedi would be quite annoying here, since it's mainly just static defense right at the top of the base. Not really a standing army of strike mechs. I don't even think there's a fortress. A lot of oarsmen. He's not even really mind this ore too much. The worker's a little bit zoned out by this tree. Got this ore now though. To afford the battery addiction. Got the mech factories. Needs to get a lot of strike mechs out I think and have some damage upgrades for him. There's a couple. There's both the range ones out first. Just something that can hit the Jedi and police them a little bit, not have them take over everything. A lot of temples here. Really getting tons of upgrades, getting them all. Mind trick range. Ah, there's a fortress. Let's just watch John's going to be doing. Automated processes. He does have heavy strike mech, that could be very good. And shield generator as well. The Jedi transition's not too quick really. Maybe needs a transport to get across. I'd maybe rally them up to here. Transport them across. So they kind of get mucked up by this tree cluster. John, I think, is getting a lot of time here. That's why I kind of like doing a bounty transition after there, because it's quite quick. And then the bombers is a bit of a coin flip right now. I don't know if the bombers have been too good up in this top part, but down the bottom area I think they could have caused a lot of damage. You get a lot of control with the bombers as well. The Jedi definitely the slowest thing, it would seem here. It's not like an open map either where you can just make like 2 temples. You just get the conversion upgrade one. You just make like 2 masters and you try and convert like an anti-air turret or something like that. And you just force your opponent to go head over heels trying to deal with the Jedi. The strike mech's actually running out here. Which is interesting, because this is a rebel player. He does have a fortress, he could make some speeders, and we know what speeders are like against mechs. Looks like he's got homing now as well, everything's just completely connecting. The air is just not going to cut it anymore. And getting on the Nova workers here with these, this is going to make the speeder. Should be the first thing he queues up here. There are a lot of Jedi though, he could just convert them all. This could be a wrong neighbourhood punk moment. Strike mech donations. Oh no! John's fears conveyed. They not oh, there we go. Convert them all. And their effectiveness will quickly diminish when they start shooting at one another because they do like no damage to each other. Trade offer. I receive all your strike mechs, you receive nothing. So he's managed to get 5 strike mechs right there. And the speeders did come out as well. So there won't be any more of those shenanigans, that's for sure. The question is, can he get through the wall here? Maybe the bounty hunters popping out like clockwork. Even more being queued. It's probably been adopted into John's just what he does when he's playing the game. You know how you might click your towns or your command centers and maybe hitting the fort every 2 seconds to make sure there's 4 bounty hunters queued up to deal with all these Jedi. And Grenooli does get through the wall, and John loses vision because of that mind trick. The invisibility of the Masters here. And they're going to come and convert more things. The Bounty Hunter's not quite in position. Now this becomes the issue with strike mechs against this many Masters when you've got Bounty Hunters, is you can convert the strike mechs and you could shoot to the Bounty Hunters. And Grenooli, not done too. He's got a lot, but he is losing a lot of Masters as well. So I'd say this is probably a win here for John. The Bounty Hunters are surviving. Nobody's taking them down, and we're really actually going to have to run away now. John's held strong here with a lot of strike mechs out. The Bounty Hunter's thankfully still alive too, so he's got some pressure to actually push up here. He can maybe stop making Bounty Hunters for a moment and get some cannons out maybe. He could remove this fortress and sort of take control of the game here. He gets a second fortress too. Let's see some cannons out. Maybe get these forces into a good enough spot where they can zone the Jedi away from the cannon so they can't convert them. Another option he has is his Trade Federation. Can make cruisers too. Again, you got to be pretty diligent with where you stand the strike mechs and that. Oh. Rebel Alliance, by the way. I don't like throwing away your counter to the Jedi when you could just be slow pushing and protecting things. And they can just, like, this is not a lot of investment, just making a few speeders and positioning them to kill these. Don't want to lose these. Let's try to get around this cluster, but there's no way around. And now it's just dead silence, nothing happening. These guys are on patrol. Patrolling what though? I would definitely put the control of the map and the game here in John's hands. He's going to have the stronger standing army when all things are, together. Hard to see like a win condition right now for old Grenooli. A few of these sentry posts spying on everything. This side's very open to air. 1-2 batteries there. Yeah, I don't like Grenooli being so passive here, giving John a lot of time. But then again, I don't like John being passive either, because you could have killed this, I think, and taken control of this area. So it's like in a team game, a Jedi Civ's so good because you've got infinite Nova with trading, but 1v1 here you can't do the same thing. Which means the Trade Federation player is definitely going to have the better options going further and further into the game. There's the cruisers now. I don't like this while he isn't like fully on Grenooli's side, because these are a very easy conversion from the water, like on the coastline. We do have 75 HP, but we don't have all the attack upgrades. I'm going to need some speeders in position here. And he really needs to get his Jedi around this area. I think what could be quite oppressive for Grenooli is if he stalls. If he stalls here on this crossing with like air cruisers and like all the usual tricks you get from an air civ. Trooper rally down here with speeders to support could actually be quite devastating. Because you can only really rely on the strike mechs. I need the Jedi converting these AA mobiles. I hope John's not forgotten about these. It's a lot of units to forget about. Oh, don't want them shooting the AA mobiles. No, no, no. And all these troopers just shooting at buildings right now. They're kind of looking a little bit anticlimactic here. This is just a pit, a big pile of dead rebel soldiers just being spawn killed out of the troop centres. No air cruiser. It really doesn't really have any Nova. As I said, kind of on a timer a little bit on like a Nova air sieve. I don't think has he got holochromes? No. Does John like have them all somehow? I have 3. Where are the other 2? There's 1. Where the rest of them are. John here, maxed in population. Pretty much just the most anti-rebel units ever. Really doesn't really have a response for it. Very tricky to play like land rebels into this. You did forget about these. They're just sitting here. It's not like he needs them. It's like he heard me. Now is their time to go off and kill some Jedi that got forgotten about. Fortunately, there's a nice direct route into the farms here now, and not much speeders anymore. It looks like all the strike mechs are just flying into the base now, just going to be killing off workers with not too much resistance for them. Strike mechs got over double the HP of these rebel troopers. Zounds of armour. And then crazy bonus damage, just murdering all these troopers. And Jedi trying to be a bit annoying here, but there's too many units to deal with them. And Grenooli going to GG there, is to be expected. GG well played to both players there. John sort of taking that series 2-1 there. And I hope you've all enjoyed the content, and if you want to get involved with the games that we play in our GBG community, you'll find the Discord server invite down below for R1, and there'll be one for the Expanding Fronts mod Discord as well. That's the mod that we're sort of playing here, which adds a lot more playable factions and rebalances a lot of things in the game. It's pretty good and adds all these nice new maps too. You'll find a voobly link down, that's where we play the games online. It's like an emulation of the old MSN gaming zone. And if you can like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support the channel another way, you find a PayPal donation link down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.